So Tracy, I wanted to talk with you today about the piece that you wrote a week or so ago, and it was titled, Win More Listings Through Smarter Touches. And I was like, oh my gosh, win more listings. So I always think about how people reach out to others, make their connections, and acquire business. So with your title, Win More Listings Through Smarter Touches, what does that embody, require an agent to do?
So one thing I want to remind agents is with the Boldtrail system that we do have a tool that allows you to import your database into a CRM. Now, if somebody has something that's working for him, that's great. But if you don't have your database currently housed into a system, we have the ability to help you extract it from your email, to extract it from your phone. I think you mentioned that in a training the other day.
I did.
And then with our team and then Boldtrail's team, we upload that into the system.
Actually, I took all of the contacts in my phone, from my phone, and went into Boldtrail in about 3 minutes.
Yep.
Because I simply connected, all of my contacts were saved in Google.
Yep.
So it just went from my phone to Boldtrail.
Correct. So one of the first things I like to do when someone gets their leads imported into the database, because it's a big system. So what we do is we break it down into smaller steps. And one thing to do on your first step is get familiar with the contact record. So within just the contact record, you have the ability...
Now when you say, I hate to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but the contact record,
Yes.
that is for the individual.
Individual.
And these are individual contacts.
Yes, so once your contacts come in,
Okay.
we want to make sure that we've brought them in correctly, that there's no errors. If you know, somebody with 1,000 people is going to be quite a cumbersome job. We want to try to get that, be a little more proactive on the front side. But if somebody's got a smaller database, I always think it's nice to kind of go in and review the contact record, because within that contact record, we can assign a hashtag. And with this system, it's important to understand that the hashtag is a way of grouping like contacts together. So at some point at a later date, if you say, hey, marketing team, I would like you to create labels for neighborhood, for family, for friends, for church, for school, whatever way you would like to search your contacts, you identify that group by a hashtag. So if you didn't do it on the front side on the import, you can then go into the contact record and apply those hashtags. A contact record can have as many hashtags as you want. You're not limited. So you could be a friend, a family, a neighbor, a school, and you could have all those hashtag identifiers within your contact record.
So an agent really needs to create a list of hashtags.
Yes.
By which they want to categorize
Yes.
their people.
And that's why I say it's important to kind of contact marketing if you want some assistance with doing this, because if we can get this right on the front side and we identify a hashtag field and have you go in and go through your list and identify those groups, we can get this on the import side. So it makes it easier for you once your contacts are imported. The other items that can happen upon an import is birthdays. And again, we can do this on the spreadsheet, but the system does have a birthday field, which will automatically, we can turn a toggle on and it will send birthday emails to our clients. And that's a great way because we all get busy. And every now and then I just get this, all of a sudden, this thank you for remembering. I'm like, oh, you know, I did forget, and the system sent them that birthday message on my behalf. So that's huge. We've got closing anniversaries in doing that. So who doesn't want to be remembered? Like, oh my gosh, my realtor remembered the day we closed and wished me happy house anniversary.
And that is such a simple thing to do, even without a CRM.
Yeah.
But with a CRM, it's a set it and forget it.
Correct.
As opposed to it as a calendar reminder in my phone. So if I kept my database in my phone and I wanted to do home anniversaries, I could do that.
Yes.
But this is in the system, set it and forget it, and it just runs automatically. And 12 months goes by pretty quickly.
And then moving forward, one of the obstacles we've seen with agents is, we just get busy and we have the greatest intentions of upkeeping databases, but we don't. So now when you turn in a sale, we have adjusted the commission disbursement sheet to reflect, hey, team, would you on my behalf go into my KV Core system and update their new address, sign them up for a closing campaign, and activate that house anniversary? So we're helping agents stay up to date on their database with doing that. So another big benefit of using the Boldtrail system.
So I want to pause for just a moment because you said you. What does that mean by you update the system?
Our team, so not me in particular.
Well, but that's why I'm defining. So your team,
So
the marketing team.
Marketing team, and actually Laurie Looney and Linda Ashley are helping us because they are in accounting on this part. So they are processing your closing disclosure. We've trained them up on the backside of this particular piece, so they actually handle from your disbursement sheet all of that I just kind of went through.
So let's back up. When I have a closing, I take that disbursement sheet and I can fill in this information.
Yes.
And then they will go into my Boldtrail database and update those people with either the birthday dates, if I have those, or simply the home anniversary date, which would be easy.
And the new address.
And the new address.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then the closing campaign, which is
the closing campaign.
A year-long touch with that closing.
So even if I didn't have their birth dates, I could still have accounting and the marketing team update my Boldtrail with the home anniversary and the closed campaign.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
One of the other options upon an upload, or it also can be done after, but again, I like to be proactive in doing this, is there's a feature in Boldtrail called a market update report. Very similar to what you send out on a monthly basis in doing it. What this is doing is basing it on a zip code, a specific area, and it's providing them either 7 days, 14 days, or 28 days. I usually like to do a once a month touch is what I recommend agents do. And based on their zip code, it's going to send just a snapshot market update report to them on their area. I think this is a great touch because whether somebody just bought a house or not, it's nice to see what the market's doing. Clients that are in your sphere may see something and say, holy cow, I had no idea that people were getting that much for their house, and prompt them to say, we should jump on this, we should move in doing that. So I think that is a great touch. It's something that can be done on every contact that comes into the system as long as you have an email address. So another great touch that goes in.
Okay.
There is a valuation model in here as well. I always prompt this one with a little bit of caution when you're activating this. Each valuation model, I know Zillow's gotten very sophisticated and some of those have been very sophisticated. I think Boldtrail system is more radius bound in doing that. So I don't like this one activated on an entire database just blindly, because I always use myself, use myself as an example. I live in the city of Hamilton and doing that with very mixed sale prices in doing that. So if you were to put a radius around my property, what it would sell for versus what that radius is telling me the average is, might lead to an upset phone call in doing it, but could also lead to a phone call. It just depends on how you look at it. But if you think somebody's in that mixed pocket, it may really throw somebody off guard if they get a really off valuation in doing that. So just, practice caution with that one and know your clients with that. Another important piece as they come into this after we've kind of gone through each of those items is we learn to sort and filter in the system. So I have agents come to me and say, okay, Tracy, I've imported my database and you had me assign hashtags, and possibly they've went ahead and they did a boost. You'll hear us talk about boosting property, and they're just like, well, now what do I do? Like, I don't know. And so it's important to understand how you can come into the system and I can take that boost or I can take that hashtag and I can search and sort clients and then look at that particular lead source or sphere that I'm identifying, and then I can mass text them, I can mass email them, I can do a voice message to them, and doing it a little video message.
Okay, so that's a lot of
Yeah.
information. I want to go back to sort and filter.
Okay.
So give me an example of how I would sort my database to do, for instance, a mass text.
So
Like, what would be an example of that?
So let's just say, I use this most likely with a lot of my boosting that I do.
But we haven't got to boosting yet. Can we
Okay.
just talk about the database and how would I sort? What's an example of sorting my database? Because maybe I want to send out a mass text about the benefits of selling a property today. So
Okay.
who do I want to, how do I want to sort that, or how could I sort that to send this mass text?
So sorting could be based on a hashtag. If you wanted to identify a certain,
Okay.
as we talked about, how to bring people in and filter them in different ways.
Okay.
If you wanted to just mass send the message to everybody in your database, you can, the max is $250 per page. You can have your contacts come to $250
Okay.
per page, select all, go to the text or email field, and then send. And doing that. And if you had like 500, 750, you would have to go to page 2, then page 3, and doing it. What's most effective, in my opinion, with the sort feature with your current database is there are filters in there that say who does not have an address, who does not have an email address, who is currently not on a campaign. Because the whole idea of bringing a CRM into the system is to make sure that we are making those touches.
So now I want to stop you again, because you just hit on a very important point. Just like I said, I had imported my database via my phone, but most all of my people will not have a mailing address.
Right.
So if I did a sort and I said, give me everybody who doesn't have a mailing address, and I made it my mission,
Yes.
then I could use that sort
Yes.
to easily identify who do I need to look up an address for.
Correct.
But I could also do, who don't I have an email for?
Correct.
I may have a phone number, because I've got, generally speaking, I think people put people into their phone with a phone number.
Phone number. Right.
Then they may have an email, but even less frequently would be a mailing address.
Right.
Okay. So that's a great way to use
So that's
a sort and filter, is to clean up my
Yes.
database.
Yes.
Okay.
So as you can see, just from the start of getting your database organized to even where we've talked about so far, sometimes I have a lot of one-on-one sessions with agents in doing that, and we can have 3 or 4 meetings just organizing the contact record.
I
and-
could see that,
Yes.
because I'm thinking it's easy to import, but then starting to organize, I need to make sure, like my hashtags, and I said that earlier, should agents create a list of hashtags in their mind initially? How do I want to categorize my people, and what are those hashtags called,
Right.
so that I put the right tags?
Correct.
Okay.
With that said, I'll reiterate, you heard me say a lot of one-on-ones. I have freestanding appointment with 2 agents that just asked if they could put on their calendar every Monday at 10 a.m. Can I just put this as a standing appointment that forces me to come in here and sit
Sure.
and knows that you'll be here, and just if I have a question, or it's going through contact records. So they're forcing themselves to come in every Monday at 10 a.m. and we kind of review contact records during
Awesome.
that time. So then once we get that piece done, that's baby step 1, I call it. Now
Okay.
we start to get a little deeper into the system. So where else can automation kind of come into play? Because again, I don't want to live in my CRM. I want to kind of get it organized. I want to be able to go out there and do what's going to bring in money and hunt. And I want this kind of working on the backside in doing that. So where does automation come into play with KB Core System? They have what they call smart campaigns. So these are auto-generated email messages that go out, and initially we have open, new lead buyer, new lead seller, and open house. By default, those are the only 3 that are turned on for everybody.
New lead buyer, new lead seller,
an open house.
An open house.
Because-
and what do you mean by they're turned on for everybody?
At a company level,
Yeah.
we can decide, did we want all the smart campaigns turned on, or did we want them turned off, and which ones did we want turned on? We made the choice of doing these three. These three are coming in from any lead generation sources. So we wanted to make sure if we were boosting something, if somebody landed on our website, or if we did an open house and used the app, that if those leads came in, that they weren't just sitting in the CRM doing nothing.
I see.
So the system will pick those up, activate this campaign, text them, email them, and prompt you to make phone calls in doing that. So that is what by default is set up.
So if I boost a listing, those leads come in, and what campaign is assigned to them?
New lead buyer.
So what would prompt a new lead seller?
A market valuation post, which is in the marketing. We kind of do classes on that every now and then, but it's a lead generation source for free that you can do through KV Core. And I've done landing pages on this. I've done little market pieces on this where you can put on your Facebook. Curious what the valuation models are saying about your property? Click here. And when they click, it prompts them to fill in name and email address, or a name and a phone number. And as soon as they do that, it gives them their valuation to put in their address, but it pulls that information into your CRM and immediately starts
the new lead seller campaign. So you mentioned the valuation report before. Is that something that you can set up for your database, the people in your database?
You can. Yep.
You can.
You can. I just say exercise that one with a little caution.
That's the one you said exercise.
Yeah.
But if I set my client up on that valuation, just one for one client, set them up, is that going to do the new lead seller, or
No, not necessarily.
Because they're already my people.
Right.
Okay.
And then also, if you ever boost, keep this in mind too, we boost so heavily on the front of the list side, just listed piece of it, that if you do take advantage of the sold piece of it, it considers the sold clicks possible listing generated leads. So it prompts that, because it's
Say that one more time.
on the sold. Like if you boost your sale,
if there's a sold, if I sell a listing.
Correct. And you boost that through the system, it does sold.
Are people boosting their sales?
I have. And then it
That
prompts.
wasn't my question.
I don't know. Are you?
Well, here's my question. My perception of boosting
Is on the list side.
is on the list side.
Right.
It didn't occur to me that I could boost a sale.
Correct. And then generate now a seller-driven or listing-driven campaign, sorry.
So basically, an agent can brag, I just sold this house, and people who click on it will then get into this new lead seller campaign.
Yep.
I think that should be more notable.
That's it.
That's
Note.
That's a tip that people, because I believe all I'm seeing are properties that are being boosted are listings. They're not boosting sales.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And then another piece that's huge, that's I think is going, just people are forgetting about it. Think of how many open houses we're seeing agents have.
Yeah, more.
Because it's a great lead source. I mean, they are revolving
Well,
door.
it is now.
It is.
It has become one.
Yes.
Again. It wasn't for a while because houses sold too quickly.
Right.
Too quickly. Is that even possible? Too quickly to really even have any type of marketing campaign or opportunity for open houses.
Yep.
Okay.
So the ones that I have been with clients and we've gone to open houses, they are just revolving doors in doing that. I recommend for a lot of our newer agents that if they don't have business and they're looking to generate, or how can I do something before, my sphere I get, I'm working on that, but what else can I be doing? And I always like to recommend that they help other agents with open houses. With that said, I remind them that KV Core has an open house app Separate from the initial app that you download to view your CRM contacts, there is a kvCORE Boldtrail Open House app. Now what that does is it provides a sign-in sheet. So where in the day we would have paper, right?
Right.
And then you end up getting a contract and you start working that, and what happens to that paper? Nothing, probably. You have good intentions with it. You want to do something with those leads, but you end up getting busy and probably forget about it. What's nice with the kvCORE Boldtrail app is it is a sign-in sheet. Ask them for their name, their email address, phone number. These are all things that you can toggle on, that if you want them to put that in. It does ask if they are currently working with an agent. It does ask if they are under a buyer agency agreement.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so it does give you that information. Once they sign in, the system automatically pulls over and activates that open house campaign for them. So that sign-in sheet is now actively working on your behalf as you're still hosting an open house.
Right.
So my gut is it's not getting utilized. I think it's a missing lead source if you're doing open houses. That I hope you're taking advantage of that. If you need a tutorial or a walkthrough, please come see me on that. I think it's a great way to gather leads.
I got to tell you, when we, I think it was right before we started Boldtrail, I found another online open house app, and I tested it. I had a newer agent who was wanting to do an open house, and I said, well, let's do it together. And it was a listing I had. It's been a few years ago. And I was not sure how buyers were going to react to being asked to sign in on my tablet. I used paper in the past, and people would like sneak by it, ignore it, pick up the pen, put the pen back down. But with the tablet, they were like willing. No one turned me down.
Yeah.
And everyone that filled out the information was, quote, verified. Isn't that one of the elements of Boldtrail? Is when that lead comes in, they verify the email.
And I would say,
and the phone
is
number?
Is it 100% accurate?
Well, I'm going to say it's not.
But it does give it stars. It gives the person stars on the verification, whether they felt like it was a very solid and it checked out, or if it's weaker, then
Is there an element of Boldtrail that also looks for their social media?
Yes, that same verification process.
Oh, that same verification process, when they're verifying the email and the phone number, they're also looking for their social media connections that person has. Does it bring those in? So does the system tell me that they're Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn?
I would have to find one. That's a good question. I'd have to go through.
I'm curious about that
and look at it. So open house app. So back to automation. So we talked about market update report. That's again just another great automation piece. When new lead buyer, new lead seller, open house get activated, and again, this is a great way to knowing how to use the system and why we want to take baby steps. What I will do is say I had that open house. It automatically assigns open house a hashtag. The system does automatically, so it'll say,
because they came in through an open house, so it says hashtag open house.
So what I can do is go hashtag 123 Main Street, whatever the identifier was, look at who signed in that day, and then say my open house was in Mason. Okay, I can go in, and I know they're on the new lead buyer campaign, this open house campaign already. This more buyer driven touches. I will go in and I will activate myself because I want to be proactive and I want to make as many touches to these cold leads as I can. And I will select all, and then I'll go to market report and activate the 45040 market report, because that's good information. If they're searching in that area, what is that area doing? Right? And then
that's different from the valuation report.
It is. And then to take it a step further, I will go in, select all, and then I like to activate a search. And I will keep this very broad initially, because if they came to my open house in Mason, well then I'm just going to say show them all active listings in the 450 zip code and do that. And this is one thing
Okay.
I want you to note through my experience, because I've done paid, I've done boosting, I've done just my sphere, I've done the whole spectrum. What I find is if I can get those search alerts set up for clients, for sphere, whatever it may be, that's where I see activity happening. One of my favorite pieces that I tell everybody is that initial dashboard, which is your home screen when you log in. And when you look at that bottom, it's showing you who's highly active right now, puts little fire icons next to them, and it is the searching capability that comes off of those search alerts. It lands them to my website. It makes them continue to search in doing it. Now, if I see somebody actively searching multiple properties, I will then go in and text or email them and say, I've got you set up in the Mason area. Would you like me to tweak the criteria so you're seeing other areas? And it will generate responses sometimes. So that's one way you can use your filters and what more can I do with my leads? And that is then go in and say, okay, I got this initial lead source. Now let me make sure I have them set on a search alert, on evaluation, on a market report, and just kind of add those features and make those touches.
Sure. Okay.
One of the additional things that we've done with marketing, and you've probably seen these emails come across, is we now are doing a Done For You newsletter. So I create that every month that drops in the KB Core account. And again, agents still had to go in and find it and select their people and send it, right? Which was just a step they intend to do every month, but I was seeing that they were not doing it. So we said, just let us know you want this done. And now we have a list of agents that are saying, you know what, just do it on my behalf. So we go in once a month, we have those agents, we select all on their database, we send the newsletter out on their behalf so they know they've got those touches.
So I just have to tell you one time?
Yes, one time.
So how do I do that? How do I sign up for this Done For You newsletter?
So you can, the best way just to keep our procedures consistent is the marketing request little form that you do on UAS marketing, and just say, add me to your monthly newsletter list and do it for me.
Is there a checkbox? Do I have to check off?
Just type it like you're typing an email in the comment box.
So I'm just going to say, send the monthly newsletter to all my people automatically. So and you'll do it.
And we'll do it.
Well, that sounds like nobody has any excuse not to send the newsletter.
So if we just quickly review, and we're talking about staying in contact with Sphere and then any lead sources that come in, we've now kind of talked about birthdays, house anniversaries. We've talked about valuations that they can sign up, local market reports based on their zip code. We've talked about doing search alerts that can key them up on what activity is going on, what new listings are hitting.
Open house app.
The open house app in doing that. So the newsletter that goes out. So these are great. Once they get it in the system and it's set, now they can go out and they can continue to hunt and do what they're doing. So it's just, I think a lot of these features are getting missed. I think every now and then someone will throw a boost in, but they're forgetting about the power of the backside of the CRM and the touches that they could be doing. So that's
not only throwing the boost in, but also now that I've discovered that it's not just boosting listings, you can boost sales.
Correct.
So have you ever done a boosting of a pending?
So there is a feature in there when you go through the system now, you have an option that's called the life cycle of the listing.
Okay.
To where it will do your new listing, open house, pending, and sold. And so it selects the entire, and as that status changes, it sends a boost out on your behalf.
Oh, so an agent can set that up ahead of time.
Yes.
So 123 Main Street is going to be a new listing, and they can go in, and where do they?
So when you go to boost it, you get choices.
You have choices. Okay.
You have a 3-day, I think you have a 7-day, and then you have a life cycle option. And I'm forgetting the price, so don't ask me. It is a little more expensive. I want to say it's around the $150, $175, but don't quote me on that.
But it will do each of those stages.
Yes.
Of the listing.
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
and
very
then you
cool.
can also, if you are somebody that really just wants to work that boosting thing, you can just toggle and say, do this on all my listings. And it's a one-time set and forget. So you don't have to go in each time and remember to do it. It just, when the system sees your listing, bam, I'm automatically going to do this one every time.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I think that's a lot of information for today.
There is, but since we're on the subject of set and forget, what is Karen's favorite set and forget in Bold Trail?
I do have that.
Yes. We can't forget Karen's favorite.
You're right. I do. It's on my list here.
It's on your list.
Social media automation.
Okay.
So again, I've done classes on this. So if this is something you think, to set up the social media piece, you do have to have a business page with Facebook. We have done, again, small scale classes. We've done one-on-ones. We'll repeat the classes where I brought Ashley in and she works with people to help them get the business page set up.
But it's not just Facebook.
Yes, Facebook, Twitter, and
LinkedIn. I don't think Twitter works.
X, yeah. I mean, it's there on the setup, but I guess we've had errors with that. So,
but Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yes.
And LinkedIn is something
people don't think of.
And when I first got into Bold Trail and I heard about the set it and forget it, I'm like, it does LinkedIn. So I did that. And what was fascinating to me, 2 of our top agents contacted me on the same day, like, how are you doing that?
Right.
And I said, well, it's magic, but it's in your Bold Trail, and all you have to do is set it up and forget it. Other than you do have to reconnect the system, but it reminds you, to reconnect. You just go back in, do a few clicks, and boom, you're back in business. So
the cool thing with that, with the set it and forget it, is 3 different pieces to that. So you have article based, and you're actually choosing a minimum of 8 different type of topics that it can pull articles from. Then you have holiday in there, and then you have, there's a third one. Holiday.
I mean, all the check boxes are right there. The holidays, the categories. I'm drawing a blank.
There's 3. There's a third option on there. So you make your selections on doing that. Set it, and then you've got that kind of social media.
The options are: how many days a week do you want to post? What do you want to post?
Right.
And you're supposed to pick up to 8 categories.
Right.
And you do have the ability to review before it goes out. So even though you've set it and forget it, if you do want to review it, you do have the ability to modify the text and the subject.
Correct. So that's another great one when we're talking about staying top of mind via the social media pieces. So I think we'll leave them with that information. Again, the system goes on and on, but I wanted to get this piece kind of.
But the key for me is win more listings through smarter touches. The title could also be win more business through smarter touches. But if you haven't heard the phrase, realtors never retire.
They just grow listless.
So listings are king, always will be king.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. So if you have any questions, need any help, feel free to reach out to me. KV Core Bold Trail trainings are always on Tuesday from 11:30 to 12:30. Thanks.